At the start of season, many fans believed that Tottenham Hotspur were entering a new era with the sacking of Ange, but the Australian did not leave empty-handed but led Spurs to their first trophy in years, managing breaking the curse. But in the current season, sees a new manager, expecting a fresh tactical approach, expecting a chance to reset the club's direction. When the former Brentford manager Thomas Frank took charge, fans were cautiously optimistic. But after a string of poor performances in matches like downright embarrassing, the mood around Spurs had quickly changed. Because of the poor result, more than unconvincing performance and growing frustration from the supporters, Spurs then chose to release Thomas Frank with a new appointment for Igor to which to turn their fortune. Yet his 3-match consecutive loss certainly makes Spurs fans whisper a dramatic question: could Tottenham actually got dragged into a relegation battle in the Premier League? Well, today we break down what's going on in Spurs and whether things could get really bad. Well, in case you didn't know, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Marvin, codename. Welcome to the Man Utd channel once again. If you in any shape or form stumble to this channel and somehow some way like this kind of content, do please like, share and subscribe to this channel, as each of your precious subscription will be a massive motivation for me to upload new content. And don't forget to ring the notification bell for every new upload. With that said, let's get straight into the video. One of the biggest challenges for Tottenham this season is tactical transition. But Thomas Frank, since his promotion with Brentford, has developed a solid reputation with structured, disciplined football. His team are known for organized defensive structure, intelligent pressing, fast dynamic and sharp counter-attacks, and most importantly, tactical discipline. But this is what's on the positive side for Thomas Frank's style of management. But Spurs fans may or may not know the negative side for the Danish managerial style. But Brentford, while having a respectable defensive structure, they are more than happy to contain few possession of the ball, often hovering around 40% possession, usually pounding on opponent mistake and strike. These tactics usually associate to teams with a lesser talent team with a less expectation to dominate and dictate the game. Although Spurs fans were more than excited to be entertained with quick counter-attacking, they were fonder on the attacking only. And besides, the Tottenham squad inherited by Frank was not originally built for his system, as many players are used to attacking possession-based football whereby brought in by Ange era, and we know that switching to a more structured and reactive style will take time. Most crucial one, do the squad willing to buy into the idea, a question that right now seems to be more inevitable than answer. But right now, it seems that Spurs look caught in between two identities. Players are much suitable in attacking style, but Frank's tactics surrounding defensive, thus the team not only on the fully attacking nor the fully defensive. And with this tactical confusion, it's affecting the performances, especially the decisions that have to be made on the pitch. But going into the second point, Premier League is where a league with an extreme cutthroat, any tactic exposure or figure out can be detriment and even derail a team momentum, in which Tottenham recent matches has been exposed with several serious problems. First one, the midfield control. The old saying win or lose was decided on the midfield area, while although Spurs contain several solid midfielders like Palhinha, Pape Sarr, Bissouma, Bentancur, and the recent added Conor Gallagher, all of them were extreme workhorses, capable of running for days, thrive in pressing a high-tempo game. However, all of their famed midfielders had one thing or weakness in common: they were not a match or tempo controller for the team, as all of these midfielders were best operate as either box-to-box, presser, destroyer, and even attacking midfielder, but none of them operate best when the ball on their feet. Even though James Maddison capable to drop deeper to operate that role, he is having a fitness issue rarely available certainly did not help the Spurs. But this makes Spurs unable to sync between the defense and the offense efficiently, thus cause a chain reaction on the offensive side. But credits to Spurs, their attacker on paper looked promising with the price transfer of Xavi Simons, Kudus, Solanke or Richarlison. All of that do not click much, with Simons and Solanke seems not really having a footing in the Spurs jersey, but Kudus, they are probably their best dribbler player in this season, also suffered a constant fitness issue, was another key factor their offense suffered. What irony, in the past January window, Brendan Johnson, a pacey winger with a knack of making constant run in behind, profile that should match with Frank's tactics like glove, was placed on the transfer list and then sold to Crystal Palace for £35 million, make us scratching on our head. Or because Kudus and Kulusevski injury meant that Spurs were lagging behind depth-wise for the right wing spot. But even though Spurs did spend $30 million to make Thiel permanent signing, yet he was barely featured in the Thomas Frank squad. But manager aside, Thiel, a small stature, primarily best suited play as a secondary striker or a false 9 striker, obviously was not really thrive well in Premier League, making him another failure of a signing. But moving on to the defensive side of things, Spurs number 1, Vicario, whom joined Spurs during the Ange era, were one of the most successful signings, as the Italian showed his massive quality in goalkeeping and shot stopping, constantly pull off an incredible David De Gea-esque savers that keeps Spurs afloat. And furthermore, he had also shown his competence with the ball on the field, not really making much of an error and could make dangerous long passes to the forwards. However, in recent times, his performance and antics on the pitch came to question, mainly on how he conducts or reacts after conceding a goal. When Spurs conceded a goal, Vicario instead acted as a leader, holding his teammates up, making encouragement, he throwing a tantrum, shouting on his teammates, and in Jamie words, doing Vicario stuff. But on the other eyes, this action may seem passionate, willing to get tough on the teammate, but this act may also seen as a toxic, in the meantime giving those acts of terror does not really yield any positive performance. But on the defender is where the most problem faced with by Spurs. Mickey van der Ven was talented, highly rated defender combining with strong ball carrying ability, and probably he's best known for his speedy pace as a defender. The Dutch international contains some of the best physical attributes to play in Premier League, but his fitness was a major problem and he's yet to complete more than 30 appearances for Spurs. Plus, in recent matches, he was not satisfied with the Spurs' current situation, often clashes with Thomas Frank, even go as far as badmouth him, certainly damage his reputation. However, his quality as a defender would definitely see him as a target for other teams, and to consider his fitness and possible 65 million price tag would be a worrying sign. And the Spurs captain Cristian Romero, to giving him the captain armband was a mistake waiting to happen anytime. Romero as a typical South American player, very aggressive, emotional and a no-nonsense defender, besides very comfortable on the ball, including amazing passing range, and don't forget his impressive aerial ability. But his emotional status and too trigger happy to getting down hard challenges made him extremely prone to collecting cards. As in 25-26 season, he was the only player to collect 2 red cards, with the season only past the halfway mark. This meant that Spurs having 2 very talented centre-back, but with some of the worst mental aspect, make them very hard to stay consistent on the pitch. And on the fullback side were more decent. Pedro Porro, a highly attacking right back with a wicked crossing and dead ball delivery, yet his defensive capability has been in question due to his tendency leaving wide spaces. And on the left, Dejan Spence, whom possessed a stamina for days, but similar with Van der Ven, having quite some issue with the coaching staff, where he throwing tantrum after being subbed off. With the departure of Thomas Frank, the former Juventus coach Igor Tudor was introduced into the club, where Igor was best known for steadying the ship in Juventus, at the same time making Man Utd into one of the best Serie A attacking midfielder. Being conservative, Igor mentioned in the press conference having Spurs finish not below 15, and boy, he did not receive the memo in it. And instead of choosing difficulty, Igor had Spurs difficulty, not getting any wins nor draw. In his first 3 matches, he had obtained 0 wins and 0 draws, plus average of 3 goals conceded. Rubbing salt on injury, Igor facing a very same issue with Thomas Frank, where a lot of the veteran players refused or did not buy into his plan. As video surfaced, Igor was eager to giving instruction for the players to press it higher, but the players were not booming much. Now let's answer the big question. Could Tottenham realistically be relegated? The honest answer is looking very likely, like up to 70%. Giving Spurs' scheduled opponent was not easy feature, including some of the clubs like Leeds, whom were fighting really hard to stay up the top flight. In addition, there were not much changes internally or on the pitch, despite the new manager involvement. And we all know that Spurs in terms of their path from a mid-level club after consecutive years of successful run under Coach Posh, with a squad of top-class players like Harry Kane, Sonny, Kyle Walker, Christian Eriksen and Prime Dele Alli, they became a Big Six club, but under the former chairman Daniel Levy, built probably the best stadium in the world. But in spite of all this positivity, the Spurs' lack of support in the transfer window, including Levy or the club refusal to pay a high salary to the top-class footballer, put a bad rap for Spurs. And this topic has been well discussed with Ange that was in the talk show with Gary Neville. But since the departure of Sonny last year certified the Spurs enter a new era, however, with the unfortunate, the South Korean skipper left the club meant the Spurs had lost their identity. But although Spurs had making some effort to recreate the success, it was going nowhere but downward spiral. Well, that's the end of the video. What do you guys think? What's your understanding of Tottenham Hotspur? And to you, what's their issue for this season? And will they be relegated this season? Well, comment down below so we can have a discussion. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you all in the next one.